Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 of the World Rapid Championship. It's Armenian Grandmaster Hrant Melkumyan versus Magnus Carlsen. Two of them already played against each other, and last time they played, Carlsen was in serious trouble and he managed to get out of it and win the game in the end. So let's see what happens this time. And like the title suggests, it could be very dangerous. So the game just finished. I thought, why not show it right away? So Hrant Melkumyan with the white pieces opens with d4. We have knight to f6 by Magnus, c4 and e6. Knight to f3, we have d5, knight to c3, and well, transposing into the queen's gambit declined, and now c5, the semi-Tarrasch. About to play the famous Dubov line that he usually plays. We have c captures on d5, e captures on d5, and g3. We have knight to c6, bishop to g2, and now c captures on d4. Knight captures on d4, and now bishop to c5. Daniil Dubov's signature move, where he got some very nice games and a lot of wins. All he did lose one very interesting game to Hikaru Nakamura with bishop to c5. But okay, we have knight captures by Melkumyan, b captures on c6, and here just castles. Magnus also castles, and now queen to c2. Developing the queen, also the bishop on c5 is being x-rayed, so Magnus immediately removes it. We have knight to a4, going after the bishop, and now there is one game where bishop to b7 was played, but here Magnus goes bishop to d7, and it is as of move 12 that we have a completely new game. So we have knight captures on b6, we have a captures on b6, improving his pawn structure, also getting a semi-open file for the rook, but now b4, a very important move as it prevents Carlsen from pushing c5, and well, as long as this pawn is on c6, it's a backwards pawn, it's a weak pawn, and it's going to be a liability for a very long time. So Carlsen doesn't want to allow a free a4, so he pushes b5, now accepting that this is going to be a problem for quite some time now. And now, well, although you can play a4, but then just everything gets traded, captures, and black doesn't really have any problems here. So we have bishop to b2 by Melkumyan, we have rook to e8 by Magnus, and now e3. We have h5, hoping to get some h4 action in maybe in some later parts of the game, and now queen to c3, not allowing the knight to move due to the threat of queen to g7 mate. And here you have to continue development. You can choose between something like queen to e7 or queen to c8, which Magnus chooses. The idea is bishop to h3 to swap off the light square bishops. We have rook f to d1. Here Melkumyan is interested in going for a nice rook lift here. df4 is a dark square. Magnus doesn't have a dark square bishop, so it should be fairly safe there. Unless Magnus is willing to open up the position with g5. But okay, we have bishop to h3 as planned, and now white declines the trade and goes bishop to h1, saying that my bishop is going to be more useful, and there aren't all that many ways you can take advantage of it. Although as long as this structure holds, the light square bishop will not be able to do much about it. So queen to f5 by Magnus, getting the queen into the game, and rook to d4, going for rook to f4. And here Magnus continues with rook to e6. Now the c6 pawn is nicely guarded, and also at some point, if white maybe decides to bring the other rook into the game via the d file, then you can double up here. Although you don't really want to move this rook, you kind of need to keep an eye on the a4 square. But here I will just show it because it's really interesting. There is a rook e4 where you can just say, okay, I'm really interested in trading rooks here, because if bishop captures, then after d captures, this the threat of queen f3 to g2 mate is just great. So here white would have to play f4, e captures on f4 en passant, rook to f4, now f2 check, king captures, king captures, and then knight e4 check, forks the king and the queen, and the rook cannot capture, or even better, after f2 check, if rook captures, you just play queen captures on f2. King captures, knight e4 check, forks the king and the queen. King f3, you capture here, captures, and the material on the board is equal, but, it's something that, well, both players would definitely calculate if this was a classical game, but it's rapid, so you don't really have time. White will be unable to use the D file, but white wants to push A4 either way, so black it's very unlikely that black will move the rook from the A file. So should be around equal, although white has a very active king. But okay, after rook d4, Magnus goes for rook e6. We have rook to f4 now, pushing the queen back, and queen to g6. And here, a3 by Melkumyan. Melkumyan doesn't want to allow, well, knight to e4 is coming. It will come with an attack on the queen, but you don't want to play queen to d4, otherwise, well, you get a rook captures on a2. And now after rook captures, queen b1, queen blocks, and queen captures is just checkmate. So Melkumyan, of course, wants to avoid any ideas of blundering the game like that. a3, knight e4 by Magnus, and now queen to d4, just keeping the queen on this very strong diagonal. We have knight back to d6 by Magnus, and now comes bishop to f3, introducing some very nice threats to the position, but Melkumyan is very low on time. Well, not very low, he's some 5 minutes on the clock, whereas Magnus is 10 minutes on the clock, but he already has the threat of bishop captures on h5, where you will be unable to capture because the queen has to keep an eye on the mate on g7. So here Magnus played f6, and this will create a lot of problems for him. Best was queen to h6 actually, because now if you try bishop captures on h5 with the same idea, then you have knight to f5, attacking the queen. Also you guard mate, so it's not a problem. Now capturing the bishop really is a threat. But even better, after queen to d1, defending the bishop, now you have g5, and the rook will have to move. Well, there is no good square for the rook. You will have to give up the rook for a knight here. And okay, white can still play this. Of course, he has the bishop pair, and he shouldn't be worse here. But that was the best course of action for Magnus, queen to h6 here. But okay, we have f6, the position from the thumbnail is reached, and now comes a move that really puts a lot of problems in front of Magnus. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this move while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations. It's not that difficult of a move to find, but when you're playing a rapid game, it's easy to miss. It's queen to d1. You just attack the h5 pawn, and there's no way to defend it. You cannot push h4 because the rook just picks it up, so it's a really unpleasant position for Magnus. So here Magnus lost a lot of time. In the end, he decided to play bishop to g4. Now both players are around 5 minutes with bishop captures, h captures, and now white decided to play rook captures on g4, which is definitely the correct idea. You have a better position, you control more space, you want the queens on the board. So rook captures on g4, and now queen to f5. We have rook back to f4, pushing the queen back, queen g6, and now bishop to d4, not allowing knight to c4 to come with an attack on the bishop, and also you control the c5 square a bit more. We have rook to e4 now, offering a trade of rooks, and here queen to c2, immediately joining the action, so rook captures is now impossible due to queen captures on g6, but also there's the threat of f3, which just wins the rook because the rook cannot move. So queen back to e8, and only now Melkumyan trades. Rook captures, we have knight captures, and now king to g2. Knight back to d6, Magnus wants to have this e file free for his queen to enter the game. And now, white should definitely avoid pushing h4 and give Magnus well, a free ideas of how to continue the game. Like I said, it's a rapid game, time is low, and he does push a4. Probably playing on the queen side with the g4 h3, first improving the position as much as possible, would be definitely preferred. But okay, rook captures on a4, we have rook captures on a4, pawn captures, and now queen captures on a4. Magnus goes for queen to e4 check with f3, and now queen to d3. Magnus offers the c6 pawn, and here Melkumyan got very low on time. He was around 30 seconds, and in the end he decided to continue the game by capturing the pawn on c6. There are a lot of ways you can continue the game. Well, you could just go queen to a8, check first, you could go queen captures on c8, you could try and improve the position of your king, but all in all, it's a pretty equal position. So here, Melkumyan played the queen captures on c6, now creating a very strong pass pawn, so Magnus cannot allow this pawn to start marching forward, but then again, he doesn't have to, because he has queen to e2 check, king g1, and now queen to e1 with check. After king g2, g2. It was in this position on move 39 that the players agreed to a draw. So once again against Melkumyan, Magnus goes into a worse position, but manages to to climb on top. Here you don't have any chances of continuing this game somehow because the knight is hanging. There's just no way to do anything here. So round 2, a draw, and we're now gonna check out some other games. Maybe we have time to check out another one before round 3 starts. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Be very careful before you play f6 because even if you're a world champion, it can definitely go wrong. I would like to thank Dog McNab, Edward Baker, Maxim Pisanenshi, 1998, and Torrents5 for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the World Rapid and Blitz Championship for the next 5 days. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.